Facebook and YouTube. Hey, there you guys are. We're all set, ready for Wellness Wednesdays. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with CJ, me, your girl, Christian Jackson, the daddy issues expert. I'm a licensed therapist here in the state of South Carolina. Been doing this thing for a minute. As a matter of fact, just renewed my license. So shout out to everybody in South Carolina who are licensed social workers and professional counselors. Pay your 150. I hope you got your CEUs because August 31st, you got that late fee, but your girl got it in. I'm really excited to have y'all here with me because every Wednesday that I am not on vacation, I come here with you live. I catch and engage with you as best I can live and even in the replays, so we can have dialogue together about mental health and wellness tips. I like to have candid conversations. This is just another way for me to give you some information from a licensed professional about how to interpret the things that you may be going through, how to deal with some things. I've been teasing some stuff this week about anxiety. And so tonight what we're going to talk about is, what healthy levels of anxiety even means. Can you really have healthy levels of anxiety? So as you guys are rolling in, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself because I do know that as of last week, I had an influx of some new followers, and I have been telling everyone about the freebies that I give, and this is one of them, right? And so as the daddy issues expert, yes, I wrote the book on the subject, y'all. So here they are. Last week, I celebrated an anniversary of, or what I call the book anniversary of Daddy Issues, the actual book and the workbook. They're sisters, right? I guess I had twins kind of. And so the book is about really my journey as I transcended daddy issues. So I am laying out for you what daddy issues means for women, right? I am a therapist, and so I use what we call the DSM-5. Put a one in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, okay? And so what I want to do with the daddy issues movement is give clinical language to what these women, I am she is me, right? Thank you for that. I have no filter therapy. Just give me some kudos there, right, on Instagram. So thank you for that love. The book is really to give clinical language for the emotional trauma that women who are dealing with difficult relationships with their fathers have. The book is sharing my story, but not only mine. For the sake of HIPAA, I did change some names and some stories, but I shared stories from the couch, right? They come to the couch with Christian. They frankly started to trigger me, right? So my story is that, like, I can't be in therapy with people and say, hey, yes, it's me too, because I can't take away from your time on the couch, right? And so what I did was go to my own therapist, and I started journaling a lot, and this was born, right? And basically what this is, you guys, if I want to put it really simply, it's a cheat sheet to how to deal with, why am I putting so many walls up in these relationships? Why am I so clingy in this relationship? Why is it that I'm parenting a certain way and questioning who I am in these different roles? Why am I showing up in my jobs this way? Why am I attaching or detaching from certain people for myself? What's blocking me from being my best advocate? All that stuff is right here in the book. So I'm talking about attachment issues. This really is a method for us to look at what it is that gets in the way of how we can show up securely in relationships. Hey, Fee, I see you, sis, on Instagram, and you guys can interact with me in the comments too, right here on Facebook and YouTube. I can see you right here as well. We're going to have a dialogue, right? I'm introducing myself and what I do, and the main thing that I want to invite you to do is, if you are new to my pages, go get to know me, y'all. I have so much content. Let me tell y'all something. This started out a couple years ago when I used to do mental health minutes, right? So I would get on IG and I would do like a 1 to 5 minute spiel of, like, what is schizophrenia? What is depression? What's anxiety? What are these things that this jargon, as they call it in the field, what are they throwing around all these words for? And I felt like in order for us to really heal and get to a place where we understand what's going on for us, especially in the Black and brown communities, we have been marginalized so much. It seems so unattainable when you throw these big words around. That part of my mission, obviously, is to make things accessible. Let's just talk real, right? So when we get into it tonight, I'm not going to be using clinical jargon only. I want you guys to even share in the comments what these things mean to you and how they present to you. That is my mission. And most recently, this daddy issues movement is to break the stigma of not only mental health, but expanding the view of what daddy issues means for women. So you can put in the chat, what do you think about when you hear the word daddy issues or the words daddy issues? What comes to mind? What do they say about these women, about us, right? What do they say that they do? Who are they with? How are they acting? We are trying to, and I say we because I've got a little bit of a following now. The point is to poke holes in the narrative. we've already got so many things kind of, excuse me, like working against us as women, that it's not fair that we put another layer of abuse and another target on our backs as women, as we already have so many other things going on. So instead of calling us women with daddy issues, she likes creepy old men and she's a gold digger, which I do write about that in here. What is that gold digger looking for? She's looking for security, and not just financially, she's looking for someone to see her. So I'm shifting the perspective and turning things over their heads. And so if you're interested, of course, in getting to know me, you can go back and look at my content. I have plenty of content where you can go back and see where I am giving you mental health minutes. Plenty of Wellness Wednesdays that have been going on consistently since about the springtime, since March, where I come on here and talk about different topics. Let me know what you want to hear. You can check out the archives on my Instagram, my Facebook, and YouTube. There'll be even these Wellness Wednesdays are there as well. You can also go to couchwithchristian.com. If you're on Instagram, of course, you can go to the link in my bio, get to know me, what I like to talk about, give me suggestions, ask me questions about what I should be talking about, what you want to hear more about. I love, love, love to engage. If you guys feel the love, please give it back and share. That is something you can do for free. But of course, at my website, you can purchase my books. You can get to know me via the blog. I have a new blog entry coming out next Monday. You can join my email list. So even if you are not able to join the Daddy Issues Healing Circle, because yes, there is a live group that I do based on the workbooks where we walk through the workbook for 8 weeks. I knew that when I wrote the books that I wanted to make sure that I was able to walk through this information with people. So that's what I do in the Daddy Issues Healing Circle. It starts August 16th. We already have 2 members. I am looking for the right members, right? You have to be protective of the people you have around you in a space like this where we get together and talk about it. And we successfully had that group popping. 8 weeks where women were together and were able to share things that they haven't been for a while, right? So if you're watching this live right now, go ahead and share it with people. I'm about to go ahead and get into the subject, and I'll loop back around near the end to let you know how to follow me, where to find me, and what my offers are. And a lot of them are free, just so you know, including this Wellness Wednesday. So tonight, I thought it would be really important for us to talk about, speaking of breaking the stigma, of reframing what anxiety is, right? Reframing is a term that we use in therapy. It really just means to find a silver lining. Like, how else can I look at this situation so that I am considering the other side of it, right? We know that when we go through certain hard things, we grow, we're stretched. There's really no growth without being uncomfortable. So it is such an important skill for you if you're looking to heal past something, not to speed past it. We got to sit in it and feel it, right? And let's think, this time that we have sitting in it gives us a chance to make sure that we are considering their perspectives and learning and figuring out what we are learning about ourselves. And so that's what we're doing tonight with anxiety. And if you're live watching here with me, you can go ahead and drop in the chat what comes to mind for you when you hear the word anxiety. What is anxiety? So I'm going to go in the meantime to the DSM-5. This is literally every single diagnosis per the last version, which actually I think came out in 2014. That's the last time they updated, I believe. And that, again, is the book that we use to give people certain diagnoses. Anxiety is basically worry, okay? And I'm going to put up here on the screen, if you ever decide you want to watch this Wellness Wednesday on Facebook or YouTube, then you'll get to see where I have scrolling down the screen some of the buzzwords and definitions that I really want to stick for you guys. So anxiety, in the plainest terms that I could see, or that I could put, anxiety is excessive worry that impacts functioning of the mind, body, and soul. Okay, anyone that gets a diagnosis from the DSM-5, what we are looking for is how long have you been dealing with these symptoms, and how much is it impacting your ability to connect with other people, your ability to connect with yourself, your ability to do kind of like the daily functioning things. So are you taking care of yourself physically? Are you tending to your hygiene? Are you eating? Are you sleeping? So with anxiety, the key term is going to be worry. Right? So we're looking for excessive worry, not just like I'm worried about whether or not it's going to rain on my wedding day. Like, that's something that really could grow. So now we got to talk about spectrums. It's not just the fact that I'm worried that that's going to rain on my wedding day. It's gone past that, right? Like, it's not a thought that kind of fleeted by. It's anxiety if it's something that you worry about most of the day, every day, to the point where you're obsessing over it. You're not eating, you're not sleeping, you're worrying so much that you feel the tension in your body. Usually your body is going to feel the worry right here on your shoulders. It may manifest in something like a chronic health disease. And I have to say something just for y'all to get to know me. I've been diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which I fully believe was as a result of my inability to handle the anxiety that I was actually going through after being bullied at a terrible job. If you want that story, you can go back to Older Wellness Wednesdays where I give you that tea. But anxiety, emotionally, financially, it affects our families. So are you popping off at your family? Are you popping off at your boss? That could be anxiety. Are you sleeping less? Are you eating less? Did you lose some weight, right? So are we feeling like we can't concentrate because we're worrying about a lot of things at one time? So I'm laying the foundation of what anxiety is. And it sounds pretty big and scary, right? And we're talking about giving you a full-blown generalized anxiety disorder diagnosis. Then there is like 3 to 5 symptoms you have to meet at one time consistently for at least 6 months. And that is a huge thing, right? There are people who don't even go outside and connect with other people. That is what we would call social anxiety. So if you're in your head, and we're going to talk about that, there is such thing as this negative self-talk spiral that really has us caught up sometimes. And that is when I come in. So if we're thinking about spectrums, keep in mind, if you're alive, sis, sir, you have anxiety, right? And that's what I want to normalize for people tonight. Everyone has things they have to worry about. The important thing to look at is how extreme and intense those symptoms, quote unquote, are. How much are you worried about things? Are they interfering, again, like I said, with your daily functioning? Are they affecting your relationships? Does everything kind of look like it's big and scary and you just have so many things going on and you can't possibly address them? That could be anxiety. So we're looking at things on a spectrum. When I am in individual therapy with my clients, then I'm literally talking about spectrums all the time because I want people to feel like they're not the only ones, because that's what anxiety would tell you, or depression would tell you, right? Is that you're the only one dealing with that. And then we're dealing with shame, right? We're dealing with guilt and judging ourselves all at the same time. So I'm building up what anxiety is so we can be speaking the same language. It is really important for us to know exactly what the foundation is. So what is anxiety? Per the DSM-5, just as a review: excessive worrying about a lot of things at the same time. You're irritable, per the DSM-5, which really means you're popping out with people. There's a change in sleeping and eating patterns. You're feeling restless. So that means you really can't sit still. You might just have to move around. And I kind of describe that as like, do you go from laundry to doing your dishes to sitting down and resting? But you can't sit for any more than like 2 minutes because I got to go do something. Because if we sit still, we're afraid that we'll have to sit here and think about the thing that's concerning us, right? So are you restless? Are you up and down and moving around so much? Are you, as a result of moving around so much, more fatigued? So you're probably dragging a little bit. Your body is telling you, sis, sir, they like slow down, because your body will tell you, and you will literally hit a brick wall if you're not tending to these symptoms of anxiety, such as your body aches and a difficulty concentrating on things that are really important. So another thing that I want you guys to know about me is that I am a trauma specialist. I got really great training as I worked for an agency where I treated survivors of sexual assault, and our supervisor made really good care to make sure that we were trained in how to address trauma. So I usually look at things through that lens, and I really want y'all to know that this here, anxiety, depending on how extreme you are on that spectrum, is likely a trauma response. If you've heard about fight or flight, you can put a yes in the chat. Let me know later when you're watching the replay. But fight or flight is really a primitive thing, right? Meaning that we are born with this skill that will protect us, and that is fight or flight. For example, if there is a bear coming, or you insert the scary thing, right? Then you're either going to fight the thing, you bout it, you finna stand up to it, right? You're ready to just take on whatever it is and give it your all and your best, or you're going to flee. You're going to run from that thing, right? And so fight or flight is that going to be that response. Either I'm going to go for it, I'm going to run, or I'm going to fight you. There's also another response that a lot of people don't talk about, and that is the freeze response. So sometimes our body just don't know what to do. And it says the safest thing for you to do right now is to be still. Okay. That is literally your brain doing its primitive function, and that is to keep you alive. So why am I bringing up fight or flight? I really want you all to make that connection of the importance of anxiety. What fight or flight means is that your brain is giving you an influx, meaning your body has a whole uptick of a bunch of hormones, right? One of them being cortisol. Cortisol, I'm going to get nerdy with y'all for a minute. Cortisol is the stress hormone. And what it does is saying, sis, you got to move, right? So for those people who like to bounce their legs when they're nervous, the cortisol levels, that hormone, that stress hormone is an uptick, and it's telling you, you need to get out of here. And so that's what your body is doing, right? If you don't regulate it, then your body is going to go back to the basics. And that's basically what fight or flight means, is going back to the basics. So if we're going to shift back to what anxiety means, in relation to fight or flight, in that primitive trauma response, what we're looking at is basically a way to be protected. So let's go back to our other vocabulary word for the day, reframe, right? What is the silver lining of anxiety? What is that even for? What does it mean? If I'm thinking about fight or flight and its purpose, which is to keep me alive when I see that I'm threatened, what is the point of fight or flight? Or what is the point of anxiety? If I'm going to reframe this thing, I'm going to call anxiety a gift. I'm going to let that just sit in, right? Anxiety is a gift. That is a reframe, okay? We're not going to look at anxiety as this really big, scary monster. Anxiety is a clue that there is something you need to be paying attention to. And that is how I choose to use that reframing skill when I am thinking about anxiety. Okay, I'm worrying about something. So my body, spirit, the universe, God, whatever it is that you actually subscribe to, your body's built and it's telling you there is something that is wrong, right? And so again, if it's to that extreme end of the spectrum where you are literally kind of avoiding all things because you want to feel safe, then that is going to be something that you want to pay attention to, right? That may be something that you say, I really probably need to go talk to somebody about this because I can't control, and that is the key. I can't control how much I'm worrying about this thing. So we talked about fight or flight, and what I want to do is give you just some things to consider when we are trying to keep in mind that anxiety is a gift, right? So if we're looking at the purpose of anxiety, then that is to give us like a warning sign, right? It's to protect us. It's to keep us safe. We don't have to give into or fear anxiety. Just lean in and listen to it. So how can you use anxiety? It's telling you a couple of things. I'm going to give you those tips here today. Anxiety tells us to listen to our bodies, okay? And I know you may have heard that before, but when you feel tension, usually on your shoulders or maybe in your back, or you hear people say, I have a knot in my stomach, I'm just really uncomfortable, I feel a tightness in my legs, then what could you be worried about at that moment? This is a chance for you, if you're tuning into your body, you do what we call a body scan from head to toe, focus on how your body is feeling. What feels kind of out of whack? Because our anxiety does manifest in the physical sense, right? Your body's the outward manifestation of anxiety is like a panic attack. So are you having that shortness of breath? Can you catch it? Are you shaking? Are you sweating? Are you really cold? Right? Are you trembling? Those are signs of panic attacks. And that is also in the DSM-5. Some people have panic attacks so often that it's literally a disorder, that they're always on 10, meaning that cortisol level, that stress hormone in the brain, is always on 1,000. And so the amygdala, the part of the brain is kind of like a scanner, is always looking for danger at all times. So imagine someone who has PTSD or several of the trauma symptoms, right, of PTSD, always on 10. Their body is usually tense and ready to pounce, right? They're literally so tight, and that's where the tension comes from, because the body is saying, listen, you need to stay ready so you ain't got to get ready because there's a threat coming. And I want to say that threats may be physical, but they also may be emotional threats, right? So if we're talking about in relation to Relationships. I've already talked about how I wrote my books, Daddy Issues, right? And how it's really a huge look at relationship with self, how that's impacted by daddy issues, and what that looks like when we're showing up as daughters, sisters, mothers, caretakers, whatever it may be. The relationship piece, right? So if I'm always on 10, and I think that if I'm dating someone and I'm looking to be a partner or looking for a partner, then I may be emotionally just tense, and I'm thinking that every person that comes to me is ready to hurt me. That is anxiety also. So lean into it. If you're into a new situationship or getting to know someone and you're just like, there's a lack of trust there, rightfully so, right? If you've been hurt by your father, didn't have a good relationship, didn't have a good model of what a good friendship is or a good relationship is, then rightfully so, you have some things to be worried about. But let's not run from that anxiety. Let's lean into it and say, what is it that I need to pay attention to? Why is it that I have a pattern of mistrust? And how can I start to trust people and open up more? Because that is what we call building healthy relationships, which is a whole nother talk, right? So speaking of talk, anxiety also, this is our second thing, anxiety also tells me to listen to myself talk. And one of the things that I do in therapy with my clients is go over something called the ABC model. It is actually an activity in my books. And so in between each chapter, you get what I call speed bumps, where you have a chance to ask yourself some self-reflection questions, right? So in between one of the chapters, and I'm not really sure which one, I give you not only self-reflection questions so you can kind of journal in the workbook that comes with it, but also some activities. I'm not just going to leave you hanging, right? So the book is chock full of things. And one of the things that I share with you is the ABC model, where we really are figuring out what our triggers are, and then what it is that we're telling ourselves. Anxiety sounds something like, oh my gosh, there's a dog coming. I see him coming. Is he spelling? Because he's looking at me. Is he going to come bite me? Oh my God, I remember that time that I got bit by the dog and he almost hurt me. So now I'm not around any dogs. Whereas exits, we're going to find somebody to get me out of here. Like, our brains are just going. And that is our self-talk, right? So anxiety says you need to stop and listen to what you're telling yourself, right? And if you talk to yourself like I'm talking to you now, like I have to kind of talk to some of my therapy clients, you need to look at that thing square in the eye, maybe even go to the mirror and say, what is it that you are saying to yourself, sis? Like anxiety is going to encourage you to say, okay, I'm not going to just let these thoughts spiral. I'm going to actually stop, maybe even journal about some, like a stream of consciousness, journal everything that comes to your mind in bullet points or put it in your phone, because anxiety is giving you a chance to say, okay, there's a spiral. Your brain's saying, listen, we need to make sense of this thing, right? So you have a chance to say, okay, I'm going to break this cycle. And there is something that we do in CBT therapy or cognitive behavior therapy where we teach you how to talk. And that just means you can literally say something like stop out loud to stop the thought spirals, because anxiety has us thinking that we're going to go in this spiral and we can't ever stop. Literally, your body is asking you to stop and save me from being in this thought spiral. So let's lean into it, right? Today, we're talking about how to reframe and find the positive side of anxiety. Anxiety is a gift. Again, we're talking about how anxiety is going to help us remember to pay attention to our bodies. That includes our brains. What am I telling myself? The last gift that I would say, and the purpose of anxiety, is to thank it for paying attention to our surroundings, help me pay attention to my surroundings. Anxiety tells me I need to focus on what's going on around me. And the bottom line is, again, going back to our discussion about fight or flight and what anxiety is and what it means for us physically, it's literally set in there to protect us. If we didn't know that there was a bear going, you might get ate, bruh. Like, that is the whole point of anxiety. So why is it that we run from these things? And I think it's so important for us to make sure that we are standing firm on the foundation of the fact that our bodies are made to heal. Literally made to heal. What happens when you cut yourself? Your body's immediately trying to figure out how to clot the blood, right? Why is that any different for anxiety or mental health or emotional issues, right? Your brain is going nuts because it's literally asking you to pay attention to me. I need to do something to help myself feel better and protect itself. So what are you going to say to yourself when you are, again, reframing, which means looking for the positive side of anxiety? Because yes, it is there, okay? We know that anxiety is usually associated with that negative connotation that says, I'm so worried about all these things. And I'm so stressed that my body feels it, and my mind and my soul and my family around me knows I'm worried about all these things. But how can you use that? If nothing else, that is a red flag, right? When you were on E on your car and the light comes on, just consider that it's trying to save you, it's trying to protect you. So anxiety is a warning sign. And a healthy level of anxiety, meaning it is not interfering with your life to the point where you're not going to work and you are kind of in the back of your head about something, but it's not affecting how you interact with other people. This healthy level of anxiety is like the gaslight. You have the power to control how much you allow anxiety to impact you. And remember, if you didn't have it, you wouldn't know you were in danger. And sometimes it's a space for us to be like, okay, I need to protect myself from this person, place, or thing. Okay. So when we're thinking about women with daddy issues, anxiety looks different. And there are so many different words to even kind of describe what anxiety looks like in a situation like that. Again, women with daddy issues. And I give you a whole symptomology in the beginning of my book where I outline what daddy issues are. And it's things like, I don't trust myself. I'm insecure. I'm questioning my identity. I have abandonment issues where I'm thinking that people or places or things are going to leave me. Nothing's permanent. It's so hard to connect with people when they're always leaving me. Or why am I so close and clingy? We're looking at attachment issues. All those things are related to anxiety in some way. But again, like I tell my therapy clients, if we don't call a thing what it is, we're not going to be able to heal from it. And so that's why it's so important for us to face this thing head on. What is daddy issues to you? When you read my book, this is daddy issues according to me. When you join the group, that's daddy issues according to me, but it's a chance for you to talk back to me. So the Daddy Issues Healing Circle, like I keep talking about, is the live group where you can go to my website, www.couchwithchristian.com. You can go on there and say, okay, let me figure out what this girl talking about, right? So I set up a consultation with you. There is anxiety even in whether I'm going to join this group. There's anxiety about paying for the group. Lean into it. When you're thinking about something like you're on the fence, I'm considering that maybe I may want to join this group. I may want to buy this book. Challenge yourself and lean into it, because if it's on your mind, it means that it needs to be tended to. And it's likely something that is going to really be an amazing turning point for you in your healing journey. If you are going to invest the time in yourself, meaning that means I'm going to take some time to watch some of Christian's old Wellness Wednesdays. Even if I'm just got it on my phone or on my AirPods and I'm doing dishes, I'm going to listen to it like it's a podcast, right? Just to kind of get some information. I'm not ready to go fully to therapy, but I'll watch some of her old videos. Or maybe I'll read this book. I'll go ahead and buy it, but I won't read it all at once. I will stop because my anxiety is ticked up. I will stop for reading the book for like a week or two, because that means you're taking care of yourself, right? Listen to your body, pay attention to that self-talk, lean into anxiety, think of it as a gift, because what it's doing is saying, I need something. And who better to give you what you need than you? Because you are teaching yourself what it is, what it means to hold yourself accountable, to be loyal and respectful to yourself, so that when you engage in different relationships, whatever that looks like, you know what you need, and you are teaching other people how to treat you. And so that is what I have for you tonight. I'm really excited to have you guys here live with me. I see you popping in and making your comments. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to get to know you guys. Share this video with your friends. Share it on your pages. Get the word out that I have a movement that I believe in, and you guys are officially a part of it, just for tuning in for this 27 minutes here on my live Wellness Wednesdays. Catch me next week. If there's a subject you'd like for me to talk about, just let me know and I will fully put something together for you. I blog a couple times a month. If you want to join my email list, you can go to www.couchwithchristian.com to join the email list and be in the know about different things I have going on. I was able to give a special treat to the people on my email list this week. I got to put together a list of affirmations for women with daddy issues, and I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying it out there. Again, I have been Christian Jackson, the daddy issues expert. Y'all have a great night, and share the good news, and also come back and engage with me. I do go back and watch my replays and kind of look at the comments. So let me know what you guys think. Have a great night.